Hello, listening people.
Hello.
You are listening to Spin Polish. Spin Polish presents Unappreciated Masterpieces. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Bartek.
And why are we called Spin Polish? Likingly because we're always spitting, and we both happen to be Polish. Isn't that right, Bartek?
Yes.
Well, now, Bartek, that's not obvious like mine. Ryan is just, a typical kind of non-Polish name. Are there many Ryans walking around in Poland? Like, you have Bartek, which is obviously like, well, to the normal ear, it's just like, well, that's foreign. Or Ryan is just like, oh, that's obviously some kind of English normal in the West kind of name. But you're Bartek. Is there any Rytex?
I don't think so, but you can be the first if you want.
I'm the first Rytech in the world. So, you're listening to Unappreciated Masterpieces. What do we do on Unappreciated Masterpieces, Bartek?
We get together and we record, but what do we record? We record us talking, but what do we talk about? We talk about movies, but what movies? Well, actually, I kind of spoiled the thing there. We talk about masterpieces, and those masterpieces are movies. We watch those movies that are, like as the show's name says, unappreciated. Unappreciated meaning that they maybe didn't get good reviews, maybe they didn't get a lot of people seeing them, maybe they did get those things, but people just don't talk about them anymore. That's how we justify doing things like Bend It Like Beckham. And this is what the show's about. We're about kind of undoing or fixing, because we see it as a bad thing, fixing that kind of situation that they're in.
We go from film to film, putting right what people made wrong and hoping that the next film will be the best film ever made, because each film we've done is the best film ever made. They all top each other, yet they all remain on the same level of perfection. Yeah, so basically, we do an audio commentary for an entire movie that we consider to be a movie that needs more love. Movies that aren't completely forgotten, but aren't completely remembered either. So, Bartek, what is the great unappreciated masterpiece that we are doing today?
Łapcie tą dziewczynę.
You sounded excited, so I'm excited, but I don't know what you said, because I do not speak Polish.
Sorry, I was on the phone with Hitler. Łapcie tą dziewczynę!
Oh, boy, can Hitler understand Polish? Or are you speaking German?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't speak...
He hated Polish.
I know he did. What are we watching? That's what I'm trying to get to.
Alright, look, guys. Łapcie tą dziewczynę translates to catch that girl, but the movie's called Catch That Kid.
Why is it girl, though? Isn't there not a word for kid in Polish?
Łapcie tą dziecko?
Yeah.
Well, for some
Is
reason...
that the localized title?
I guess so, because, they're all localized titles, but they could have said Łapcie tą dziecko.
That's right, we are watching Watch That Kid.
Catch That Kid.
Catch That Kid, watch it. We are going to watch That Kid. It would be a better movie, because at no point do they actually utter the phrase, Catch That Kid. But they do utter, watch that kid to, the baby. They're like, could you watch it? It's closer to what I'm talking about. Yes, Catch That Kid, 2004. And who stars in this masterpiece?
Well, we had her on the show, well, not as a guest, but she was in a movie that we did not too long ago. It's Kristen Stewart.
Kristen Stewart, K-Stew herself. So, Bartek, as usual, we audio commentate these movies, but we do not always do it alone, is that correct?
Well, yeah, there are two of us.
Yeah, but sometimes we need help talking about these wonderful pieces of work, isn't that right?
Yes.
And who is joining us today to help us manage to go fully deep into this stew of a movie? Stew like K-Stew.
Well, our guest today is a veteran who was in, I believe, one of the first 9 episodes just before we hit the 10. Ladies and gentlemen, it's one of my friends, Rhys McKenzie.
Hello there out there, and hello Rytech and Bartek. How are we today?
Great.
Good retech.
Oh, my
Retech, Rytech. They're
like
both spelt the same way.
He's such a retech.
I sound like a company.
Yeah, you do, an evil company.
Your two names, Rytech and Retech, could probably be spelt the same way but pronounced differently.
No, mine would have to be R-Y. His has to be R-E.
Different villages.
Villages.
R-H-Y.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
so, Retech and Rytech and Bartek, If we have to translate, I know we can't. But since mine is like Ryan Tech, like Rytech, and his is Rhys Tech, Retech, what is Bartek?
Well, Bartłomiej.
Yeah, I
Bartek.
know that. I know that in Polish, but if it was a not Polish, would it be like Bart?
I guess.
Ek. Bart Ek.
Well,
Do people
well,
ever pronounce it? Do
The
people ever
equivalent would be
pronounce it?
Bartholomew, I guess.
Yeah. Do people ever pronounce, because you always get Bartek, because it's like Bartek. Do you ever get people who pronounce it Bartek? Hey, Bartek.
Like, it just two
They
separate
more
words.
emphasize on the Bart, because with his they emphasize on the bar. But what happens if I emphasize on the Bart? And then, yeah, because you don't emphasize the whole word with your name, because your name is, got so many syllables in it that you have to split it up into two.
Well, every time I try to
Bartek.
pronounce his last name, I just butcher
Give up.
it.
I give up too.
I do it, but I butcher it the crap out
I
of it.
give up on my own name, let alone Bartek's.
No, Ryan, I've never actually even thought about that.
Well,
Like,
you should notice it, because I think more people out there, the listeners, are going, is it Bartek or Bartek? I think...
That just sounded the exact same.
No,
thing.
I emphasized on the T more. We're actors, Bartek. You should notice subtlety
I don't-
of emphasis. And we're now going to emphasize on what could be the greatest film ever made. Is that right, guys? Is Catch That Kid the
potentially could be the greatest film ever made.
Potentially. Well,
yes.
we have to watch it to find out.
Exactly.
This movie has everything, does it not? It has everything that you need. This is, of course, a children's film, and aimed towards kids, but we're full-grown adults. Some could argue that we're not. But we are going to watch this now. We watched this last night or before doing this, but now we're going to watch it again with you guys listening in. And maybe we'll get some different experiences, because I had a lot of questions about this movie that I'm sure are going to get answered by a second viewing. So we're going to start this bad boy in 3, 2, 1, play. All right. So this is a 20th Century Fox.
But it was made in the 21st century. Oh, they're behind the times.
You're behind the times.
I know.
Well, this film's behind the times because they've got a new logo sort of thing going on here. They've got palm trees in the new one.
Oh, do they?
I think they do, yeah.
Jeez, Rupert Murdoch can afford palm trees.
He can afford palm trees in his logo.
I was actually talking about this. I watched this last night with the household, and there was why is it called 20th century and not 21st? It's like, because originally it was going to be moved to like 21st century after, in 2000s. I think the reason why it's still 20th century is they just say, well, we established this company in the 20th century, so it should remain 20th century.
And
Fox.
also, one of the first credits that showed up called it a Fox 2000 production.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
well, there you go.
Going with the times, aren't we?
So, guys, what is our histories with this movie?
I had never seen this movie before.
I have seen this movie before.
I had seen it before, but I could barely remember.
Okay, Rhys, I want to hear about you. You sound really heart wrenched about it.
Oh, well...
Someone's called Stark Sands, might I add. Go on.
I just remember this movie just like being, oh my god, look at them gadgets. I need to get me some of them gadgets so badly.
Yeah, like
Just
the
like-
continuity breaking editing gadget where
Yeah, of course.
there was no bar when we got a bird's eye view.
Well, it was like I saw this in the cinema. I was like, I want
You
to
saw it in the cinema?
I did see this in the
Oh,
cinema.
wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, well,
Do you remember it vividly? What were you eating? Were there tears in your eyes?
I think no, there weren't tears in my eyes. There were like there was maybe some popcorn salt in my eye. I don't know. I was just concentrating on eating the popcorn
okay.
most of the time.
Anything, any other foreign object that made you cry?
Yeah, of course.
So this takes place in 2003, but this movie was made in 2000. This was released in 2004. So this, when it came out, was a historical piece.
Yeah, period piece.
A period
Period piece of a couple of months ago.
a period piece of 2003. Is it weird that that was 13 years ago?
It is weird.
A bit.
A bit. I remember 2003 like it was yesterday. She's dead. But you
Oh.
were saying you saw it in the cinema. You had it's Maddie, in case you're wondering. I needed intro titles for it. So you saw it in the cinema. Emotional experience?
No, not really. I saw it with like another bunch of kids, and they were pretty noisy, so I didn't get a foot in the door, if you would say.
And did you get to see it again after?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Definitely. You need to check it out again.
No.
Yeah? Did you get it on DVD?
No.
Why?
It's the thing with the parents. You suggest something, they're like, maybe next time, little Rhys baby.
So you were like, please, 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 Mum and Dad, give me Catch That Kid. And
I was absolutely like that.
And they're like, maybe, and instead they gave you Blade 2. And you're like, I don't want fucking Blade 2. Fuck off, Mum and Dad. And you like slapped him in the face and goes like, give me Catch That Kid.
Villain scene.
My
This
God.
is great.
I'm sorry, Bartek. We'll get to our own experiences, but this guy, Mr. Brisbane.
Yeah. We call him Mr. Brisbane, of course, but
yeah, obviously we do this from Australia, and one of the cities in Australia is Brisbane.
Yeah, one of the capitals.
One of the capitals, Brisbane. But in this movie, they pronounce it Brisbane, and he is English. And did we ever hear him say his own name? I don't think so, because I imagine he would say it Brisbane as well.
Yeah,
because he's English, and we are obviously still connected to England heavily in comparison to America, especially in accents. And it's just like in pronunciation. Oh, here it is.
Look at that smirk, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that.
You know how old people look like babies sometimes? He reminded me of a baby, which we get a lot.
So natural.
We get a lot of in this movie.
Yeah, when I was watching this movie, I was like, "Oh, Ryan's gonna love this guy."
I clapped. He was just like, I just clapped and went, yes, yes, yes. When he smirked, I'm like, he actually followed through. So Bartek, you had seen this movie before, but you don't have no recollections of it.
This is my history of this movie. One of my best friends in primary school. Shortly after primary school, he had a birthday party, and at it, later on in the birthday party when it was late, he's like, "All right, let's watch a movie. Let's watch Catch That Kid." And yeah, I remember watching it and liking it, and good experience. And then 2 years later, we had another birthday party, and late at night, most of the stuff's over. It's like, "Hey, let's watch a movie," and it's like, "Oh, let's watch this movie." It's like, "No, let's watch Catch That Kid." So
wait. Did someone else suggest another movie? And he's like, no, Catch That Kid is what we're going to watch.
I think it might have been me. I'm not sure. But
wait, you wanted to watch Catch That Kid, or you suggested another movie?
I think I suggested another movie.
You were like, can we please watch Shaun of the Dead? And he was like, no, Catch That Kid.
I think it might have actually been Agent Cody Banks, but I'm not sure.
Well, there is only a thin line between the two movies.
Yeah.
Very thin line.
So basically, in my head, before I suggested this movie to Ryan, Catch That Kid was just this movie that I remember watching once and liking, and then having my friend suggest that we watch it again at a very similar occasion, and thinking, man, he must have really loved that movie. But I couldn't remember much of it, so I really wanted to revisit it. That's why I suggested it for the show.
My history with this movie is I've never heard of it, knew of its existence, it had never touched me. I love how he reacts. It's like, oh, good job, Dorcas. The brother is amazing. But my history with this movie is zero. I have zero history. The only history I have is Bartek saying, can we watch... What about Catch That Kid? It's like, have you heard of it? I'm like, no. And then Bartek briefly told me the history that he had, which was a guy I knew. And I can't remember the language, but it wasn't what you just said. It was basically a guy I knew dedicated 2 parties to watch and Catch That Kid.
Did I say dedicated?
And I'm like, good grief, can we please have this person on the show? And you're like, I haven't heard from him since primary school. And I'm like, great. The only person who can give us an in-depth analysis of this movie is gone out of Bartek's life. How do you not keep a person like that around in your life? They wanted to watch Catch That Kid over Cody Banks. That is a real tragedy of this movie, is the fact that there was someone out there who loved that movie enough to want to watch it for a few birthday parties in a row. Like, Bartek,
it wasn't
who knows?
in a row. I think there was 1 year gap.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah.
But was there? But you don't know what happened after primary school. He's probably like he's like 17, and he's like, guys, I don't really want to watch Harry Potter. Let's watch Catch That Kid.
Yeah.
To be fair, those 2 birthday parties were after primary school.
Whoa. So, geez,
Like
he was old enough.
A few years
He
after.
was old enough to have outgrown this movie, and he still loved it.
Just like...
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Now, we haven't actually talked about the movie itself. Like, we talked about what attachment. We've met all the characters with funky intros.
We've met most of the characters, yeah.
No, we've met all of them.
Well, the main characters,
yeah. But here's the older brother, who is a great bully character. He's exactly like... What I loved about this movie was, after having had watched it for the first time, the movie that this reminded me of the most is Big Fat Liar. Like, it reminds me of Cody Banks, but I haven't watched that in a very long time. But it reminded me of Big Fat Liar in a lot of ways. The cinematography, the directing style, the children, the characters, the kind of farcical storyline of, like, kids who become thieves, while Big Fat Liar were, like, kids who also are thieves, technically.
Yeah.
And all of this kind of stuff reminded me of Big Fat Liar, but what really reminded me is the older brother character. In Big Fat Liar, there's a bully character in that movie who kind of serves no point. But the brother in this serves a point, but he's a bully, and then halfway through the film, he's no longer a bully anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's
exactly like Big Fat Liar.
It's also interesting because it shows how kids know how to do more advanced stuff than what we know, like how to like do climbing or something like that. It's like, we should learn this in school.
Yeah, like, with my like faint memory of this movie, I thought it was like a movie about kids spies, not that it was a kid heist movie.
You thought of Spy Kids.
Oh,
I didn't think of Spy Kids, but like, I didn't say the phrase Spy Kids because that's like it's the name of another movie.
It's too obvious. Now, I had no attachment, but once it opened with her climbing, I was instantly like, wow, I relate to this character. And especially if I was a kid, I would relate to her, because all kids love climbing.
True.
All kids have professional harness equipment and own a go-kart track.
On that note, the friend of mine that liked this movie was very much into gymnastics. Like, he could do a lot of crazy flips and stuff.
What was this person's name?
Nathan.
Nathan what?
Johnston.
Nathan Johnston. If you're out there, I know there's a long shot, but who knows? There might be a Nathan Johnston listening, and he's just like, holy shit, he's just scrolling through Facebook or Podbean or iTunes, which you can check us out on all of those platforms, wink, and he just sees, holy shit, catch that kid. Oh my god, my dreams have finally come true. I thought I was the only person who cared about that movie.
And then he finds out it's me.
And then he finds out that it's his old friend Bartek. Please reconnect with Bartek and come on the show. You can recommend the movie. Hell, if you want to do Catch That Kid, we'll do Catch That Kid a second time round. I just really want to know you, sir, because...
We love you.
I love you. I miss you already, and I've never met you before. I feel nostalgic for the memories that I've never had of you. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Just come to us,
You
Nathan.
know what's funny is he wasn't even like the type of crazy personality that we usually like.
I don't care. So we missed an emotional scene in which he was like, touch that scar.
Oh, yeah.
Poke his scar.
We also-
Very reminiscent to Thomas and Jesus, in which Thomas was the doubter of the apostles, and he did not believe in the resurrection of Jesus until he had to touch the wound of Christ.
For some reason, when you said Thomas and Jesus, I'm like, what the hell are you talking
What
about?
movie is this? I want to know what it is.
And they're like, oh wait, the Bible.
Oh, the Bible. Alright. Yeah.
Wait. I love he was not like, Jesus didn't spark him off to Christianity or the Bible, but once I started talking about it further...
No, because you said Thomas first, in my head I immediately thought of Thomas the Tank Engine. And I didn't like overwrite the Jesus and the Thomas the Tank Engine.
And then Thomas touched Jesus' wound.
Well, he sort of ran over Jesus, but that's alright.
And then the fat controller said...
Rhys, you have to be Ringo Starr for the rest
I
of this.
can't do a Liverpool accent. I can't do
And
it.
then the fat controller said, touch the wound. Touch the wound.
So hold on, we've just basically seen most of the dad's like physical.
Oh, I thought you were
parts
going to
of this
say
movie.
most of the dad's scenes. And I'm like, I agree, he's barely in the movie.
Yeah, and he was actually a pretty cool character.
I did like Sam Robards in this. He was pretty good.
I liked him too. But what I was going to say was very Christian imagery in this movie. But I was saying this to Rhys before you came here, Bartek, today, was I find it very interesting that the kids touched his wound, his scar, and he's like, okay, and then he's like, okay, bad touch.
You say that, yeah.
And then the next scene is him falling over and having no feelings in his legs. I'm not saying that the kids touching his scar is the reason why he now has a severe back injury.
But it
I
could've
think it's the
contributed.
kids touching his scar.
Well, it could have been the ice cream.
I also wanted to take this scene seriously, but I'm too busy being like, okay, she's got a midriff showing. She's all teary-eyed and crying, but at the same time, you can't take it seriously because 2000s fashion.
Oh, it wasn't too bad, was it? Or was
Oh,
it?
you haven't watched enough 2000s movies. We have. It was a real fashion back then to have ill-fitting clothes and clothes with just numbers on them for no apparent reason.
It worked in college, I would say. Like American college, not our college.
No. So yeah, the movie plot, of course, guys, is the dad is ill. They need to raise $250,000 because the system in America doesn't work, and the only option is for them to rob a bank that the mum works at. Obviously, there's no other way, such as charity or you know, any other way is to rob a bank. But my favorite part, Bartek, is they have to go to Denmark to get an experimental, untested surgery in Denmark. Like, and why is
Was it untested?
I like to think it is.
Okay.
It's Danish surgery. Why is it Danish? Because this film is a remake of a Danish movie. And I think that's a really subtle little wink to its predecessor, to its originating point. Because, you know, this movie obviously is going to be different to the Danish one. I don't know what the Danish one's plot is.
It's roughly the same.
But the medical system works over in Denmark, so why do they have to rob a bank? But here is probably the best line delivery in this movie is this evil guy, the evil bank guy, who I'm just going to call evil bank guy.
Right.
I wrote in my notes evil British bank guy because he's just so British about everything he does. He reminds me of the guy who plays Zod in the original Superman movies. Like, kneel before Zod, Terrence Stamp. But I love this. It's like,
Stamp.
Man,
Yeah.
even him standing up. Like,
I
he's
just
just
love-
putting so much into this.
Don't you have a heart? This is not an emotional issue, Mrs. Phillips. Our bank has no heart. And then, like, only paper in a vault.
The
Like, it's
seed
so-
is planted.
And I know you're thinking, Ryan, that was an exaggerated line delivery you did there. No, 100% true to how he delivered it.
Yep.
His lines are the greatest, but none of his lines. There was one delivery in the movie that made me lose it.
Tell me, because Bartek didn't tell me beforehand, but he gave me an inkling there was like 4 lines of dialogue that you love.
It was something that Gus said, and
Which one's Gus again? Sorry?
he's the blonde one.
Oh, yeah.
The go-karts.
Yeah.
It's when it's coming up later on when he's modifying the go-kart to work with an Xbox controller.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much him narrating what's going on. He was like, it's working. I'm a genius, but how do I stop? Maybe I'm not a genius. That whole bit.
It's like how Luke Peveril, who's been on this show before, does commentary on these episodes where he just points at things and goes, the screen is on, font is moving, she's entering the room. Like, that's basically, he commentated himself.
Okay.
That's what I love, what you're talking. No, that's what he's doing. It's like, maybe I'm a genius. Oh no, that's not working. I'm not a genius. Bartek, this movie has a lot of characters in it. A fuck ton of characters.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite?
Like I said, I'll just mention this first. Like when I watch these movies, I like to sometimes think which one's going to be Ryan's favorite.
I was thinking that too, to be honest.
Yeah, and when
You're not gonna pick it.
I know I'm not going to pick it because when I watched it, I'm like, oh, this bank guy, it must be him. He's crazy. And then later on, other characters kept coming. I'm like,
like the German
they're so bizarre.
Rottweiler
The
trainer.
Rottweiler trainer, the lady, the receptionist lady who gives the model,
The guy. No, wait. Can we please not skip over her? The guy on the video phone that she's on with that goes, "Are you freaking out of here?" I'm like, is Paul Giamatti in this movie? Go on. What other characters? So many.
Oh, the guy who works with the brother.
yeah.
I thought like, oh, maybe him, but he's a bit, he's a bit try-hardy. I don't know.
Yeah, he
So-
was a bit too try
So
hardy.
those were like the ones that I was thinking, but I'm thinking, knowing Ryan, he's gonna pull something like surprise, like the baby or something.
Do you want to have a guess? I'm gonna tell you because I can't keep it in because it's so I can't.
Okay, I'm
do
just
it.
gonna stab the bank manager.
No.
Okay.
What about you,
I have
Rhys?
no
There's so
idea.
many characters in this movie that come in and out. Now, I'll give you another go, Bartek. It's not a character. Like, they don't speak, and they don't have more than one frame, like one scene.
Then I'm not gonna be able to get it. I don't think.
Have a guess.
I'm gonna have a guess. It's a long shot, but I'm guessing the security guard in the bank.
Close.
That's in the parking lot.
No.
Damn it!
Bartek, you sure you don't have another guess? This is a Guess Who's Ryan's favorite one-scene character who stole the movie.
I don't know.
Okay, there's a scene later on in this movie. Spoiler alert. They eventually do rob the bank. But, bum, there's tricks to this vault. They accidentally set off the alarm. The bank evil British guy's cutting the cake and he's all like, the only success that matters is financial. And then the alarm goes off and everyone's like, my ears. There's this one guy. Now, the alarm goes off twice. Alarm goes off twice. Now, I can't remember if it's the first or second, but we'll have to watch it. There's a guy in a full tuxedo, an older man, who's looks Cuban or something, and he just reacts by covering his ears with the tips of his fingers.
Okay.
This is my favorite character. And he goes, oh! And he keeps going, oh! And he's just like covering his ears. And I just went, that guy. Someone.
So he's a character on the same level as, to bring it back to the tuxedo, the guy who passed out and then woke up when the scene, wake up!
Yeah. So this guy's in one scene. He gets a loud ringing in his ears. He covers his ears so gently with the tips of his fingers and goes, oh! Like, there's a scene, I think it's in Quantum of Solace, James Bond, the Daniel Craig one, where there's a guy in the background who has a broom and he's just extra and he's supposed to be dusting the ground.
Yeah.
But this extra had no idea what he was doing and he was like, just miming the idea with a broomstick, but his broomstick is like 2 feet off the ground.
Oh, so it's like just,
He's doing
let's
it
play
in the
broom.
air. He's doing it in the air. That's the kind of character this guy is with his ears. He's like, oh.
I can't wait for this scene. I cannot wait.
Yeah, me neither.
So this movie, we haven't talked about a lot of it, yet we're talking about it all. I did not understand. Okay. This is a fault of the movie, okay? I don't understand why they have all these security measures that still don't work. You know what I mean? Like, these cameras detect things. The security guards are there, and, like, they're motion sensitive. So they run, stop, wait for it to die, and then run, stop. Why don't they just keep running? I don't understand. Like, this movie really... Facing Love Addiction. Sorry, he's reading a book called Facing Love Addiction. This movie's security systems, I don't understand because they trigger each one of them practically, and the guards still don't do anything.
I think the problem is that the guards, they just happen to not be looking at the screen every time they're on.
Yeah.
Or they reject the
It's all
idea that
dependent
there's
on luck.
someone there. It's like, there's a thing going off in Sector 5. I was in Sector 5, you idiot! Hey, have you ever heard the story about the boy who cried Sector 5?
I have to say, Farrell is my favorite character just because he's too try-hard in this movie. I just can't help it but just laugh continuously when he just screams like, back to the monitor, maggot!
Did you have a favorite? Was this guy your favorite? I can't remember if you said you had a fave.
Yeah, I had a hard time deciding. Like, the bank guy, he was just so great, but I feel like he needed to be in more scenes.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he was great.
He was great. He just needed
What
to
about
be in
this
more
guy?
scenes.
He reminds me of...
He also needed to be in more scenes.
We watched a film a while back called I'll Be Home for Christmas.
Yeah.
And this actor reminds me a lot of an actor in that movie who plays a guy that gives JTT a lift home, but in fact he used to be a bank robber or something or other. You remember that character? Like the really dumb one in I'll Be Home for Christmas.
Was he a bank? I don't remember the bank robber thing, but yeah.
He was a bank robber, and that's why I was like,
Oh yeah, he
I'd
had a bunch of stolen stuff.
Yeah. So that guy, he reminds me a lot of that actor. Oh, look, there he is. It's like, you can't get... Are you freaking nuts? It's like, thanks, Paul Giamatti. She reminds me a lot of, what's that Australian comedian? Julia Morris?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
she's-
Julia Morris. Like,
Yeah, the Australian one. She reminds me a lot like her. She looks like her. The one that's like in House Husbands and
yeah, Julia Morris. Like, she's very posh. And,
yeah,
like,
funny lady.
This character is very passionate.
Yeah, and then she's like, "Oh my god, you're a victim of abuse."
I'm gonna steal a floor pan for you.
So this movie's got a lot of shit going on. That there came a point in which it says like the font saying like 4 days till heist, and then day of heist, and I looked at the time and it was only like half an hour in, and I'm like,
And that's actually pretty good timing. Most of the film is dedicated to the heist.
and then yeah, but I was just like, and then like. It's a movie that's probably the quickest movie I've ever watched on this show. Like, it's not a short... Like, it's an hour and 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, standard runtime.
But it felt like it was 40 minutes long. Like, it blasted through at an amazing pace. I wrote in my notes, pace, like, a million times, because it was just whizzing by so fantastically.
But doesn't the fact that, like, if it went too fast, you've had a great time watching it, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
Speaking of great, I really like this character.
The De Niro enthusiast.
Yeah.
He's an actor that's in a ton of dramatic works. He was in Gran Torino, the Clint
Oh yeah, he
Eastwood
played the
movie.
barber in Gran Torino.
Yeah,
That was great.
and he was in American Horror Story Freak Show. He played Twisty the Clown, and he's in a lot of things. Like, this guy's a character actor that appears in a lot of things, and it's just not like this guy. You're just not surprised that he's in a movie. Like, you're like, oh, of course he's here. It's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like when Christopher Walken eventually rocks up. You're like, of course he's in this.
Of course. Yeah.
So I wasn't
But
surprised by his
Yeah.
existence.
I wasn't surprised either, but what I'm saying is I really like him because he's sort of one of the more normal ones until like acting or De Niro is brought up.
He's the
And
only
then there's the random scene where he's with a lady in the office.
Nice shot.
He tasered a spider. Like, he
That's a pretty good
tasered
shot.
A spider, but I was like, that is Marty Wolf level insanity from
That
Big
is,
Fat Liar.
yeah.
If you said Paul Giamatti tasered a spider in a movie, I would believe you. Talking about Paul Giamatti, I watched, because Anzac Day recently happened.
Yeah.
I, of course, watched war movies all day in remembrance of the soldiers, the Anzacs. I watched Saving Private Ryan, which we've made a lot of jokes about on this show and Schindler's List. But boy, I need to do my research because Paul Giamatti's in Saving Private Ryan.
He was part of the comic relief in Saving
And
Private Ryan.
he played Paul Giamatti in World War II. Like, you know how, you have these historical pieces and they're very accurate. Well, Saving Private Ryan's like that. But then Paul Giamatti walks in with his late 20th century attitude. Like, basically they're all like, I don't want to find this Ryan. And then there's just Paul Giamatti's like, man, what are you talking about? I mean, I'm just here. I got a rock in my shoe. Jesus, guys. Like, World War II, it's hell. You know me? I'm Paul Giamatti.
Hey, what are you talking about?
I had to amend my former mistakes of not bringing up the fact that Paul Giamatti was in Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, when I was at Cash Converters yesterday, there was a copy of Saving Private Ryan there, and I was thinking...
And you were like, Paul Giamatti's
I was thinking, I've never seen it, but, maybe I'll pick it up sometime.
Saving Private Giamatti. And spoiler alert, in Saving Private Ryan, Ryan doesn't want to be saved. I think Paul Giamatti would be the exact same too. It's like, we're here to save you, Giamatti. It's like, hey, how about you get out of my house? And he just like smacks
Come on! It's like Raging
Get out of
Bull.
here, Ricky Retardo!
It's like Raging Bull, just like Joe Pesci and De Niro. Like, hey, what are you talking about?
What are you talking
Calm
about? Get your
down,
mouth
man.
out.
Come on.
Wouldn't it be great if there's a movie and Joe Pesci turns out to be Paul Giamatti's dad?
Oh, right. He'd be a good age because he's actually quite old now, Joe Pesci.
Yeah, he's a little old man. So
I was surprised that this guy didn't turn around to look at
I
him.
was surprised too. Also, I was surprised that when they asked...
Look at this. Like anyone's gonna notice.
Why didn't you put the fucking vase in there? It's bigger. I love, oh god, this movie is full of everything that you need. This movie has so many details. Like, for instance, the vault security passwords, or the security passwords for every door is De Niro.
Yeah.
And that was signed and checked off.
Well,
Somebody was like...
that's the master one.
Yeah, the master one. That's what I meant. I like the fact that they asked him to get detailed detailed schematics of the building, and what does he get? A fucking model, which was not detailed schematics.
Unless it came apart, but it's not. It
doesn't.
It's all together.
Like, if basically they could have asked me to get them, and I just would have made my approximation out of Lego blocks and said, this is an accurate way to rob it. Bartek, you're like, can we please rob the National Bank? And I'm like, sure. You're like, give me detailed schematics. And I just look up Google Images and then I make a Lego version of it. And you're like,
I get chased by dogs.
No, and you're like this. You just stroke your beard and you're just like, okay, we got it. And then we just go into the bank and we rob it successfully.
And Rhys is the girl.
Rhys has got to be Kristen Stewart.
I cannot climb. Unfortunately, I can't be climber girl because I get sort of vertigo when I'm up at those heights.
She does too.
Can we also talk about the fact that none of these people are likable? Like, it's a good thing, guys. I found that the only person who had a redeeming quality was the evil British bank guy, because he's the only person in this movie that does not deny the fact that they are evil at any point. Like, these kids aren't her friends.
They're just acquaintances.
No, they aren't. None of them are friends. They wouldn't be a group of friends. They weren't before. They only like her because they're physically attracted to her. They lust over her.
There's a scene that turns up later that makes them sort of unlikable in a way.
Oh, you mean when they leave her practically for dead at the end of
there-
the movie
there's that,
because they find out that she manipulated both of them into coming on the heist?
That's the
because
scene.
they've both got their dicks in a knot?
Yeah.
Or is it the fact that they practically demand her to choose which one of them, and she's like, I don't want either of you. They're like, no, it doesn't work like that. You've got to choose.
Oh, yeah, Bartek's favourite scene.
Which one? Oh yeah, Bartek, this is your favourite scene.
Yeah, my favourite line.
Favorite scene and line.
I mean, the scene is just like, oh, he's gonna. It's like Men in Black 2.
Do you think this film was sponsored by Xbox?
It would have had to have been.
Would it be great if the evil British guy played PlayStation and they're like, he's evil? Like, oh, no, he's a Nintendo kind of guy.
Oh, well.
The evil British guy. Like, wouldn't it be great if he was just like, ew, I love the Wii U.
I got it almost 8 years early.
Now,
Before the
when I
Wii.
turn around and play my Wii U, I expect you to be gone.
Wouldn't it be great if he was the spokesman for Wii U's?
Oh,
Wouldn't it be great if he could...
It's his next job.
Okay,
Yeah, next job.
Here's the pitch. It's him with a white background. He just you do a slow fade in of him walking towards the camera. He's got a big grin on his face, and he's holding the Wii U, and he just sniffs it and throws it over his shoulder and goes, I like to play the Wii U. You should buy it too.
Mine broke, but I can buy another one.
And then Nintendo, and it's like, Nintendo or whatever. It's like Wii. And then the motto is, the only success that's worth celebrating is financial.
Alright, so to get real with everyone,
Why is he not wearing pants?
Well, he's wearing shorts.
Yeah, but why is he not wearing pants?
I don't know. He doesn't feel like it. They're only shooting his upper part. So, Rhys, you're a filmmaker, and Ryan, we're actors.
Yep, this is accurate.
This is very accurate. We always, genuflect and ask people, really seriously how to get into character, what's our motivation and stuff like that. And Rhys's job is to tell people this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
So, I was actually really surprised that he took off his hair, because I'm also used to that actor with no hair, but I thought, oh, this is earlier in his work. Maybe he has hair, and then he took it off, and I'm like, oh, there's the man I know.
He doesn't have hair.
But I like how that his wig is appropriate, where it has kind of thinning, like you could see his scalp. Like, oh, I'm not going to pretend that I have a full head of hair. I'm going to at least give the illusion that I'm still thinning on top. Good for you, man. Wow. It's like how Ted Danson wears wigs.
He wears wigs.
He's always worn wigs. You know Ted Danson.
Has he?
Becca and Cheers. He wears wigs. He was bald when he was doing Cheers. He always wears wigs, toupees, if you prefer the correct term. And what I like about Ted Danson is, as he gets older, he adapts his wigs to his age. So now he's got white hair. He has a white wig, and what would be considered an appropriate hairstyle for an older gentleman. He adapts his wigs and his hair with his age. And I think that's very appropriate because, hey, you know, you're bold at a very early age or whatever. You might want to just go, oh, thick head of hair forever. Like Christopher Walken has a thick head of hair. That's actually his hair, though.
Yeah.
But it's just like, Ted Danson is humble enough to be like, no, I'm in my, 70s? 60s? 60s?
Roughly 60s, I think.
60s? And he's like, no, I'm going to have appropriate hair for a man my age. You know, I respect people like the bank guy in this movie who can be like, you know what? This isn't flying. I'm going to have appropriate toupees. What I'm saying is this movie highlights people with appropriate toupees.
I hate
proper recognition.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate to use this cliche term,
Go
but
on.
Kristen Stewart's character in this is a very strong female character.
Some might say she's a Mary Sue, but hey, if it wasn't for her character in this movie in Zathura, would we even have a new Star Wars movie?
Maybe not, but I'd just like to, you know, elaborate on the strengths of this character, basically.
All right, yes.
So, a lot of things are going wrong in this character's life in this movie.
Yes.
In terms of mostly with the dad and having to put up with those two friends of hers.
Those two possible rapists.
Yes.
Go on.
Basically, a lot of things are piling up on her, and even though she's going through this really bizarre idea of, I need to rob this bank and I need to somehow manipulate these two guys who are really sensitive to the very brief notion that I might not be interested in them. Like, for example, this character right here, Austin. The simple mention of, he's not my boyfriend, made him angry
Yeah, like,
and storm off. So she's got to, you know, manipulate them with this whole love locket, not locket, necklace thing.
It's a locket. No, it's a necklace.
And then later on when they start the heist, spoiler alert, she has to take her little brother with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's basically
Maxwell,
she's basically got to juggle all this stuff just to do this really illegal thing that might not work, just to get her
Yeah.
dad to walk again.
This movie's a lot like Sophie's Choice.
Yeah, and these characters here, they
I have not seen Sophie's Choice, I'm sorry.
Well, Sophie's Choice is about a woman, very much like Kristen Stewart in this movie, and she has to make a detrimental choice, like Kristen Stewart does in this movie, about whether or not she should let her dad die, or pick this guy over Austin, or pick no man. Sophie's Choice is an emotional quality film. Not as good as this movie, though.
Okay.
Never as good as this. I would recommend watching this way over Sophie's Choice. More upbeat for a start.
Of course.
You were saying, Bartek?
Yeah, I was saying something. Then you started masturbating over Sophie's Choice again.
Go on.
Fuck, what was I saying?
No.
The strengths of Kirsten Stewart's character.
Yeah, I know that's the topic, but what was my thought process?
You were talking
you-
about how
you
she
were talking
she
about
had to
carrots or
make lots
something, I
of
don't know.
choices.
Yeah, choices.
She's looking after dead dad and
Has
these
been the choice.
rapists.
He's not dead, but
Well, having to choose
Practically.
between Austin or... what's his name
Gus.
again? Gus, right.
They also have holographic technology in this universe.
Yeah, how did they
Great.
do that?
Because this movie has the ability.
oh, that's a common thing. Like the smart kid of a group of friends always has like really advanced technology for some reason.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
Big Fat Liar. Yeah, exactly. You know, on and on
Who
it
was the
goes.
smart kid in that one?
Frankie Muniz, obviously.
Was he?
He was, but he
He was.
He
He
didn't
was
get that.
incredibly smart.
He was incredibly practical. Oh, that's another thing. She's very, you know,
Practical.
she's very practical, very efficient. She can get things done. Hence
She
with
could
the
kill a
whole-
man.
Or to save her dad, I think she probably would.
She would do anything to save her dad, even star in Twilight. I mean, poor lady.
Yeah, and
Worse than death.
And, you know, she looks up to her dad. He's a climber. He climbed to the top of Mount Everest, you know, free climbing. And she's willing to free climb to save her dad.
Yeah. Hey,
Oh,
I
hey.
just got. You go.
No, I wasn't going to say anything. I was just going to say, like...
Emotional.
Good point, Bartek.
Good point, Bartek.
That was very emotional.
I've got a question. It only dawned on me now.
Yeah?
I don't know Kristen Stewart's filmography, unfortunately, but would this be one of the last leading roles she had before Twilight? Because she's the main character. In Zathura, she's not, and in Panic Room, she's not. Would this be one of her last leading roles before Twilight?
I don't know if it's her first and last or just her last or anything.
I'm going
but
to say
it might be.
last.
Well,
but-
she's more of a supporting character because she's a child of age.
No, but she's the lead character.
Wait, in this movie, Rhys?
Yeah, in this movie.
She's the main character.
She is the main character.
That's
yes.
what we.
Following
That's what
her
we
And
said.
journey.
I was going to say Panic Room, but Brian mentioned she's a supporting
Panic
character.
Room.
She's a supporting character in that. So, Twilight, had to cast someone who is perfect. And, you know, when you're casting people, you look at all their roles, of course. But if they have a leading role in something, that really boosts their credibility. And I'm just saying, the people who cast this, did not know that they were going to cast a future superstar in Twilight. And the Twilight people went, hey, we got to check out her work. Catch that kid? She was a lead role in that. Oh my god, she's perfect.
So the people from Twilight cast her because she was in
Catch That Kid, obviously.
And obviously she was a good actress in Catch That Kid.
Yeah.
She was an amazing actress in this movie.
Do you not see her levels of depth?
Actually, I do.
Really deep.
Especially in the bank vault scene. I do think that.
I feel a lot of tension from her.
Man, so, like, when we were growing up, I don't know about you, Ryan, but, like...
I often climbed on things.
The people I surrounded myself... I went to an all-guys school.
Oh, okay.
Not many people there
Explains a
liked...
lot.
Not people there liked Twilight very much. So Twilight was very much, a huge joke. Like, oh, Kristen Stewart, she can't act. She's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. After doing this show and seeing her in, Zathura and this, she's great.
Versatile actress.
Yeah, she's a good actress.
I genuinely like Kristen Stewart.
Yeah, it's just that the roles, some of the roles she's picked, of course, have let her down.
She's a female Shia LaBeouf. We talked about this on
Yeah.
Zathura.
Well,
check that episode out.
Yeah, and in Twilight, the whole idea of the Bella Swan character is that she's meant to be like
a plank of wood with eyes.
A character that women are meant to kind of put themselves into.
Like the other woman with Cameron Diaz.
She's again. That's another series where she's got two guys after her. But
can we just stop for a moment and recognize the fact that they somehow got these outfits? Where did they get these outfits? And also, they got one for a baby, which is
on short notice.
On short notice, with zero money to their names. Hence, they're robbing a bank. Where, when, why? I would rather... Oh.
Maybe they made it.
Wait, no.
No, there's no way they would...
There's a character missing from this movie.
The tailor?
Jeremy Irons is the tailor. Oh. And he's just there. It is just Jeremy Irons, like Dungeons and Dragons style acting, in which he's like, You want a tuxedo for a baby? And then he just hands them it, and he's like, Call me later for Batman v Superman.
My God, what a movie that was.
So Ryan, maybe you should pay attention to see if your Cuban fellow...
where is the Cuban guy?
No, hold on, Rhys. I'm saying in case he appears
he was dark skinned, but he didn't look like he was black, so I said Cuban just off the cuff. Maybe he's just light skinned, but either way, he was I do believe a darker skinned gentleman. I'm gonna go Cuban because you know what? We have not had enough Cuban actors on this show, and I feel like Fidel needs to be an actor more often. Fidel Castro, that is. True. And he's getting old, but I would love to see him do his own bio movie, directed by Tom Cruise.
Oh my God.
Produced by J.J. Abrams.
That's not a movie, that's a cultural sort of thing.
Phenomenon.
Oh, here comes the first camera.
Here comes the pointless
this
camera.
This is where they should have noticed her in the beginning.
Oh, here she is, climbing.
But
the whole you were right about the whole why don't they just keep running thing. The whole idea is that you stop so the camera will eventually go away. Not that it will never detect you. It's not like there's nothing here.
Yeah. What I feel really about this movie is, I said it a lot, but this movie has got so much, I respect it. It has so much energy, vigor, imagination, and a quick pace that it gets me worried, guys, that we aren't talking enough about what's actually happening in this movie because we have so many things that we can't catch up on. If we actually wanted to do a proper detailed analysis of this movie, this episode would have to be 5 hours long.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. Or we'd have to make 5-hour-long episodes.
Or
about this movie because we've missed out on so much. We haven't even talked about the Nazi security guys. We haven't talked about Kristen Stewart wearing a really sexy dress for a 13-year-old girl. We haven't talked about the dad saying that he can only he's like, I've been looking at this roof for an hour. It's like he can still move his eyes. We haven't talked about so many things, and I know you guys out there what was your friend's name again? Nathan, I know you're out there saying to yourself, why aren't they talking about this part? This movie, Jesus Christ.
I did notice very early on that, like, shit, we're talking so much about what we thought of it that we're not talking about what's actually happening.
But it's because this movie has so much shit being thrown at you, and I mean shit in a good way.
Well, like what Rhys said earlier, the second half of this movie really is the heist. So let's take that opportunity since we've just entered the second half.
Actually, I've just noticed something.
Yeah?
It's emotional.
He's got braces.
Yeah, didn't you notice that?
I didn't notice that.
Later on, he gets tasered, and his braces have a lightning effect.
I noticed the lightning, but I didn't notice the braces.
Oh, really? They make an amplified point that he has braces. Like, there's a scene in which, we may have missed it already, but he grins evilly, and you just see nothing but braces. He does braces.
Ryan,
braces,
leave Rhys
braces.
alone. He only saw it on the big screen.
What's your fucking excuse, Rhys?
I was eating popcorn. Give me a break.
So
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
I liked how this film had enough respect of the male anatomy to dedicate a whole 20-second scene or sequence to him having injured testicles. Because another film would be like kicked in testicles and they go, ooh, ah, and then they're fine. But this guy's injured for pretty much the rest of the movie.
And another film is Sorority Boys.
Yeah, another film, Sorority Boys. But for the rest of this movie, he's kind of injured. He's like, but I love this. She walks in, flaunts her kind of sexiness that she has going on, and he covers his dick with
He's wearing pants.
What was he doing? Massaging his balls? What was he doing? Like, he's like, don't look at my injured testicles, like you can't see because I'm wearing trousers. There's lots of things there. I love how military their outfits are. I know security guards have this and whatever, but like the hats, they got this whole SS thing going on.
He really does.
Like, it's this, why? Is it to amplify the fact that the bank's evil? It's not, it's just a bank.
Well, even the Nazis had attack dogs.
Yeah.
Yes. Rottweilers too.
Greyhounds. No,
Oh.
not Greyhounds. Great Danes. I don't know. Dogs. I love how according to the dog trainer that we don't see again.
That was unfortunate.
He comments that pretty much all Rottweilers respond to German. Like, not all the ones he trains, just all of them. Like, all of them. Like, I guess it's because they got German deep down in their bones. They only respond to German. I got really confused.
Yeah, wasn't that the problem with Austin? Like,
he couldn't speak German
he
with
couldn't
enough
say-
authority
he
because
couldn't
German
say
language is very...
Ausfahrt, but he kept saying Assfahrt.
Like
Yeah,
Ouchfahrt. Yeah.
and then also he didn't say it with enough conviction because the German
Not
language
enough
is...
respect, to use his word.
Yeah, but the conviction in turn, because the German language is very, very harsh to the ear. I
Yeah.
think that's well enough an easy thing to say, especially to the Polish ear.
I made a joke about it when I said the Polish title.
She winked at me.
Oh yeah, they both said it at the same time. Pretty
She
kid.
winked at me. Like, I don't care. But yeah, where's the chief now? He's so freaked out that he's showing the taser.
And he jumps over the one thing that will cause him to get noticed.
He does the one thing, other than Oh no, it's not him. Not him. I thought the photographer, but then he's clearly an Asian man. I'm waiting for my ear guy. And see, what's the point? Like, doesn't it record these things so they can rewind the tapes and show the fact that you were there robbing the bank?
Later on, they get a perfect excuse so that, like, it didn't really mean anything.
That is perfect.
So, hold on, when I brought up the dogs, I just remembered I did a quiz on this movie.
What?
Yeah, please say Will Smith was one of the answers. Like, who plays their dad? Will Smith.
God, I wish. I got 9 out of 10 points on the quiz.
What one did you get wrong?
Apparently, like, it's like, what does the dad call the main character? And I was like, Maddie. It's like, no, he calls her Madeline Rose or something.
Oh yeah, that was a scene. There was a scene.
Yeah, that's what I got wrong. But one of the questions was, what animals do they have guarding, like, for security at the bank?
Dogs.
The correct answer is dogs. Yes, I got that right. This one only had 3 answers. The second answer was wolves.
Oh,
The
wow.
third answer was animals! with an exclamation mark.
Release the animals.
Wouldn't it be great if, like, they just released it, it was just like a snapping tortoise? It's like, oh no! Oh no, wouldn't it be great if they released... No, they missed a great fourth answer there. And the fourth answer is De Niro. It's like,
They released
you
De
know,
Niro.
they have the pens with the dogs in them. Wouldn't it be great if, like, they had the dog flap and just Robert De Niro crawled through it, and he just stands up and is like, what you doing here? Huh? And he just, like, starts to antagonize them by just giving speeches to them and they don't know what to do, and then they just slowly walk past him and he doesn't move.
No, I would imagine him getting stuck in the door flap. He's like, I'm 70 years old. Can you give me a hand? Jesus.
Man, jeez, I'm dirty grandpa. Give me a hand.
So
Bad grandpa, not dirty.
Oh,
They're
well,
both the
fair.
same
Yeah.
grandpas. Jesus.
You know how in the later scene, when they're in the actual vault itself, Gus steps on the eye and that makes the whole panel thing turn
Yeah,
up?
Yeah.
that's weird.
There was a question that asked what was the thing that made the panel turn up, and obviously the answer is stepping on the eye.
Yeah.
I can't remember what one of the answers were, but the one that I am bringing up right now was to just stand in the middle of the room and yell, "Money!" What?
Money.
Let's do that.
Money. You know what would have been great? If the bank guys, like, had a brother and it was just Tim Curry. Like, it would have been just the best. So it's like,
Tim Curry.
it's Tim Curry.
I'm just
So
sweet.
did anyone read the trivia for this movie?
Yes.
I did not.
A lot of the trivia was the fact that this baby,
baby.
was the most antagonistic asshole
Rhys,
cry baby.
In the
ever.
earlier scene, you remember when Kristen Stewart was walking with the baby hand in hand?
Yeah.
That was a trivia point.
Yeah, because it's like originally she was supposed to carry the baby, but the baby did not want that. And then it's like, even in 2004, Kristen Stewart could not get on with the younger generation. I guess that's what
Oh
it's
my
saying.
god.
Hey, do you find? Hey, this baby is now a teenager.
Yeah.
Holy shitballs!
I want to know what he's doing at this moment.
If you know Nathan, baby, please, please tell him to come on this show.
If the baby knows Nathan, or if Nathan knows the baby.
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Okay, if baby knows Nathan or Nathan knows baby.
No one puts Nathan in the corner. Jeez. That was...
Maybe baby put Nathan in the corner.
Jeez. Okay, so we find out that in this scene that not only does Austin have hologram technology, but it's a technology that just exists in this universe. My housemate asked, when is this set? And I'm like, did you not see? It's set in 2003. Because at the start, remember, we already talked about this. So this is a period piece, so we already have holograms, guys. I mean, Tupac, he was a hologram once. Maybe we can get the hologram touch pads. Like this movie is taking place in a universe in which touchscreen technology didn't even exist yet, but touch hologram technology surely existed.
So it's one step closer to getting Star Wars technology.
To getting Minority Report technology.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Did Star Wars have touchable hologram technology?
Or I think that... Oh, no.
They just watched holograms.
They just
They didn't
watched-
touch it.
Whether it does or not, I'd believe it. If
Bartek,
it
I'm sure
existed.
you can give us a detailed analysis of Star Wars right
Oh,
off
yeah.
the cuff. So,
Sure.
I loved this movie a lot. I had not seen it before, so I had no idea what I was getting into. But I did go on IMDb and read the plot synopsis. I'm like, good grief. Is this in the Big Fat Liar universe? Please, please, please. And it really is, kind of, to me. Like, I don't know what is going on with this movie, but it is this special era of films. I was saying this to Bartek and Rhys before we started. I have a theory that any children's live-action movie in particular that was made between 2001 and 2005 all have this unique style. This style, where they have the adults the villains, or the adults are antagonistic, or the adults don't care, and the children are the heroes. And you have all these famous child actors like Amanda Bynes and Kristen Stewart and Frankie Muniz, and they all have far out plots. Like, this one is like, the dad's dying, let's just rob a bank. Like, they don't even have any moral ambiguity or like any lead up. They're just like, the only way to do it is rob a bank. And Big Fat Lie is like, Paul Giamatti, the evil adult, stole my script. All of these movies, I will now, from this year of 2001 to 2005, I call it the Muniz era, because I feel like Frankie Muniz was the child star.
He's the face of these.
He is the
child
every
movies.
child.
Here's something I think we've lost in what we've gained. Children's entertainment like this, we won't beat around the bush. We think it's the greatest film ever made, but you guys don't. Evidently. But that's why you listen to us, so you realize the importance of it. But films from this era were a lower standard of children's entertainment in comparison to what we have now. Things like Pixar and Disney have picked up their game quite a lot. have given us the joy of having great kids movies. We don't have as many of these type of movies which are lower down the list. I feel like a lot of kids movies, adults are running out to see them. I mean, Jungle Book is a movie that's out in cinemas and I want to see it. And that's because it's based on Noah property. But then you have other things like Pixar movies, Inside Out, all this that have all these recognition. While movies like this during the Muniz era, they were just considered kids stuff. They were considered lower forms of entertainment.
And yet they were really creative.
But what I think we've lost out on with gaining so much stuff is the kind of cult status of kids movies, where you can be like, big fat liar, and you'll be like, but nobody has that now with these movies. But also, you know what I think we've lost out on? Who's the kid actor right now?
Yeah.
Who's the kid actor of this era right now? Because back then it was Muniz.
Like, a couple of years back, could we have argued that, like, Chloe Moretz? No, not
Chloe
really.
Grace Moretz? Yeah. But really, in all fairness, I only knew her from 2 movies, Kick-Ass 1 and Kick-Ass 2, when she was a kid.
What about
500 Days of Summer was what I was thinking.
Oh, yeah.
Freddie Highmore?
Who's that?
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? Finding Neverland?
But that was mid-2000s.
Oh, and that was Muniz era.
That was Muniz. No, Muniz had just finished. What I think has happened is, with the increased production of television, the child stars have moved to TV. You have Modern Family, where you have all these great child actors. You have Fresh Off the Boat. You have The Middle. You have all these shows. While Muniz was one of the few that could be a TV and film child star. You rarely had that. You rarely had that. That's why I think this era is really important. Yes, we've increased in quality, but we've lost something along the way. I can't say a great kid actor right now off the top of my head. And then you may go, oh, it's because you're not watching enough kids movies, Ryan. No, it's not that. I'm very in tune with films, and I just can't think of that kid. You had Macaulay Culkin.
Hey, you said it right.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone
Macaulay
clap.
Culkin. And you had him in the 90s, and then you had like this person, that person. Hell, even Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he had his period. You had all these kid actors, but where's our kid actor today?
Where's our hero?
Where's the baby from this movie?
Well, he would be 17, so he wouldn't be much of a kid actor.
Oh.
But yeah, that's just my little tangent that I wanted to go on. I just wanted to bring that up because I feel like this movie really ignited something in me that the last movies we've done haven't, because they haven't been kids related as much. Yeah, we did Flipper and all that. Yeah, Elijah Wood, kid actor, 90s.
Oh, Ryan, is this the scene? Or it could be the
it's
next
coming
one?
up. It's coming up, I'm sure. But this does have the great. Yeah, it's like you know, him talking about like the only success that matters.
I would actually really like
that
to
really
slash that
matters is financial. Whoa! You know what I mean? He's so evil. But it is coming up. She sets this alarm off. She sets it off twice, so I think it might be the second time when people are kind of filing out of the building.
Yeah. Oh,
But
here's the first alarm.
here's the
set off.
first. But there is, yes. I don't think it is this one. No. But
Okay.
that guy, the French guy, reminds me a lot of the dad from Big Fat Lie as well. Maybe that's why. No, I like
like
this.
the
I love the
Choreography?
security system.
Yeah.
I do.
Do something.
You said there were too
something.
much. You said there were, like, you didn't like him because he was trying too hard.
I
think-
did not like him. I just
Yeah.
thought that he was trying a bit
Yeah,
too hard.
I think what I respect about this movie is, out of all of them, is it actually does slapstick very well.
Yeah.
I feel like it has a like live action cartoony nature to it, and the world, you just accept it because, like I said before, the pace and the tone, where it's a movie where you could say a lesser movie or a better movie could have more depth to it of why these kids are so willing to just rob a bank other than the plot says so. But this is a movie in which you just accept that, and you just accept that this guy wants to be De Niro, and you just accept that this guy loves to tase spiders, and you just accept this, and you just accept that. It's a great thing about cinema is you know, even the great films are ludicrous. Like, you know, any David Fincher movie is insanely ludicrous, but you just buy into it. You just have the suspension of disbelief and just buy into the reality. And that's what I did with this movie. I just really bought into it. As soon as I saw the opening credits, I'm like, I'm in.
Oh yeah, I certainly didn't think anything here was unbelievable for this
In this universe.
Yeah.
Like in previous films we've done, I've had gripes. Like in the film Sorority Boys, which was a fairly naturalistic film, there was a moment where it was just a cartoon where one character gets thrown out the window and he comes back in another window like a boomerang.
In the same shot.
And it makes
Within
no
a few
sense.
seconds, yeah.
Yeah, but this movie, it's all cartoon all the time. There is no realism in this movie. And I think I respect
Well,
a movie that has the balls enough to say, this isn't realistic. This isn't what the real world's like. This wouldn't happen. Because we want to escape, don't we?
Yeah, well, I think on that note, though, I would say that Madeline, Kristen Stewart's character, sort of does have an element of realism to kind of make her, to sort of emphasize the whole aspect of how she's really struggling and she needs to overcome all the conflicts that go on in the movie. So I would say that she could be seen as a bit less cartoonish than the rest.
Yeah, but you need that in your protagonist.
Yeah, but as a contrasting point, that really makes her character stand out really well.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about protagonists. Usually, I would say 95% of the time, the protagonist is grounded, and they're usually not your favorite character in the story. Usually. There's always exceptions, of course, like Casablanca and all these kind of things.
The Naked Gun.
The Naked Gun.
The Naked Gun.
Yeah, exactly. But usually, the protagonist isn't the one that you always love as much. Like, there's always a love, but there's usually side characters.
Yeah.
Whatever. But yeah, she has to hold it all on her shoulders. You know, she has to think, my dad, he's a flashback for no reason. They have 2 flashbacks, and I was really stunned that they were flashbacks. I'm like, oh, I didn't expect this, because I had no point to set it up.
Yeah, and she's wearing the same beanie that he wore when he climbed
Well,
Everest.
she made that for him.
And she took it back clearly to do this heist.
She's like, fuck you, Dad, you don't need it, you're paralyzed.
Be proud of me, Daddy.
She's number 1. One of the questions was, what does it say on her beanie?
Daddy issues?
I can't remember what the answer
Oh,
was.
sorry,
I think
mummy issues.
I think number 1, Daddy, and something else.
Daddy? Yeah.
There's one other question
Daddy.
I'll bring up when she gets to the vault.
So, yeah, this movie. This is the movie that I think made me laugh the most in a long time.
Okay, for the movies we've done in the show.
In a long time. I think I haven't laughed as thoroughly throughout a movie. I think it's because I hadn't seen it before, especially.
Yeah, this was one of the movies that you didn't bring up to do the show.
I thought he was going to... I actually did ask for majority. How did they get out of the thing in the center of the room? That
There was a gap.
Yeah, I know, but at first I didn't see it because it's glass, right? So it just looks like all of them are closed.
So he would have been trapped.
Wouldn't it be a great plot twist if it just trapped him in there and it just became this weird movie about a
it
kid
was the
being trapped?
controls, but it also was a prison.
Yeah, like it's money.
Well, and this vault is sort of tricky because when you leave, you have 5 seconds to enter an exit code,
There's an exit code.
That
was bullshit. I thought, I wrote in my notes, an exit code? Like, how secure does this place need to be? If it really was a good bank, how come it didn't have, fingerprint analysis or retina?
Again, Ryan, if it was good bank, it would have been tested.
Yeah.
Well, no, in all fairness. She did warn that this was not fully operational yet, and he was like, but I like money. Financial.
More financial, more laughing.
Gus looks like an ant. Yeah, she looked down. So, anything you guys want to bring up?
Oh, we brought up a lot, Ryan, don't you think?
I know, but anything, because I mentioned before, we've missed out on a lot of things that we didn't comment on. But, is there anything during this poignant moment of the possible she would be dead? I also wrote that they would be dead a million times. In this.
Of course. Like this scene, for instance.
Broken fingers.
Broken fingers. She would not hold on to that. No way.
But anything you want to bring up?
I suppose since she's at the vault, I'll bring up the last question from the quiz that, would sort of be relevant.
Yeah.
So she has to enter a password. And the 3 answers were the correct answer, which we'll see in a second is her full, first name. Some random numbers, that was the other answer. And the last one was money!
Type in money and you'll get money.
So this quiz, 2 of the 10 questions
Where money?
had answers that were like, money.
Wouldn't it be great if there was a third one where that was the answer? It's like, what did they have to steal? Money.
One of them was how much, money they steal. That was an easy one.
And then it was like, money. I like how much money did they have to steal? Money. I love...
Oh, we brought up the trivia about the baby. We didn't bring up the under the table trivia.
Oh yeah, the baby was
trivia?
so unreasonable that they had to have the mother of the child sitting underneath the table to soothe the child.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
In the scene where the De Niro guy's making it, the girl.
Oh my god, that's a scene. the fact that the baby goes, "Mummy," and then she automatically goes, "That's right, come to mama," and then it's just like basically implying that they're gonna have severe kinky sex. Like, you know what I mean?
And she assumes that because the baby said it, obviously means he said it. De Niro guy said it.
Yeah, he's like, "Mummy."
They made a point earlier that like the baby's never made a sound in its life.
Yeah, it hasn't talked.
Yeah, and
Until this night.
yeah, and they never really make a big deal out of the fact that he does talk.
She does. She's like, "Why now?" Like when they're running
It's
off.
not too big a deal.
Yeah, but it's big enough. It's no deal. Oh, here's a flashback, but not only is it a great flashback, it's a fade out. Where it fades into her face, giving me this idea that they are related.
Well, I mean, mother and daughter.
Yeah, but like the actors, you know how you do
Yeah,
face
yeah,
morphs?
yeah.
We talked about this in Zathura, in which Sam Noonan, I guess, had a big thing about Sam Shepard looking nothing like Josh Hutcherson.
Dax Shepard.
Sam Shepard. Who is Sam?
Sam Shepard's the old guy.
Sam Newman and Dax
Wouldn't it be
Shepard.
great if Sam Shepard was someone's dad in one of these movies, but they're still like a kid?
Just like, you look nothing like him.
So, this is the point in which I would have stolen way more than 250 grand. I would have stolen, I don't know, $1 million
Or maybe
grand.
all of
$1 million grand?
That's a lot of grand.
it. That's a lot of grand.
It's a very grand amount.
Would you be able to carry that?
Did she have to count it out before, or does she just know?
She
'Cause
automatically
she stole
knew.
exactly 250.
Yeah, she automatically knew.
So when notes fall out of the bag later on,
They're
it's like, well, we
sure.
don't have enough, but
Shit, dog. Well, we'll just raise it through charitable means, like we should have done in the first place. Wouldn't it be weird if this movie was called Catch That Kid, and the movie is just about them entering into a charitable organization? And the title is even more confusing, because at no point do they actually say Catch That Kid, am I right?
Yeah, it's not like one of those movies where you see the like
Wait,
attack.
yeah. The alarm's about to go off. Uh-oh.
I love how the countdown happened. Like,
When they left? Okay. Are we getting here? Okay, so the alarm's gone off. We're about to meet my favorite character in the movie. Yeah. Obviously, we're listening to this without the sound, so we can't hear him going, "Oh, oh." Am I right? Okay, see, look. There's people covering their ears. He's like, "Oh, get out of here." And then... There he is. I think he's an Asian man. But he's a tubby Asian man, I think, with glasses. And he's just like, "Oh, oh." It's just the best.
This is annoying.
Yeah, it was just the best thing
Why
ever.
is this happening
Because,
to me?
you know, this movie, here's the problem. This movie has so many things that are glaringly amazing that when you have something so minuscule, it becomes the most maximal effort thing ever. Because this movie is non-stop galore fun. Like, this movie just won't stop with all the things. Like, in a moment, we're gonna have like a 10-minute car chase sequences on go-karts and helicopters. But the things that draw you into these big spectacle movies, even the classics like Die Hard and all this, is the little moments. The little moments, like
Little things.
like pulling glass out of your feet. You know, typical Die Hard.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that the dogs went out the flap at the same time.
Yeah. Or the baby is really upset to be there.
And a very troubled actor, apparently.
How great would it have been if the whole thing about the baby needing to be calmed by the mother was actually a movie element? So like it'd be these three kids, the baby and the mum.
mum's there, like, "Oh," like her mum, like, no, not the character's mum, but just a random mum. It's the secretary. Because she seemed really attached to these kids' lives,
Well,
even
the
though
one
she met
kid.
the one. But she's like, "Oh my gosh," the Julia Morris looking woman. I really wanted them to get attacked by dogs.
Yeah, the bags
Wow.
do. And there's one point where the dogs just menacingly stare at them instead of pounce at them.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great if the dogs started to talk? Like, they've been trained to talk in German, and they're just, like, talking in German, and you're like, of course, it's this kind of movie now. Would this movie have counted in Dog Month?
It'd be like that. It'd be like that alternative ending to what's that Will Smith movie?
Oh, you mean
Enemy of State?
Scooby-Doo 2?
No, the I Am Legend. Where like the things, whatever they were,
The people.
start talking.
Yeah. It's like, oh my god, no, it's dogs.
Like, this is what we want.
And this is his trial moment, where the cowardly character stops being a coward, and he screams in German. The ultimate
you say
trans-
stop being a coward. I say he finally pronounces a word correctly.
No, he's been cowardly throughout the movie. You know what I mean? Like, he's been scared. he actually steps up to the plate and goes, "No, I'm not scared. Fart? That's the code word." And he did a slow clap.
Yes.
He was like, "This is me in this movie. If I was a character
If the
in this
financial
movie,
guy is not gonna be the one to clap, it's gonna be him.
the Nazi, yeah.
Nazi
If it's
braces.
not the evil Mr. Burns character, it's the Nazi.
You know, we said he had a Nazi cap, but from like a higher angle, it kind of looks like a beret.
No, he's wearing a beret. The other one was wearing a Nazi cap, but it's the black and white of the SS that gives the white on black.
They had like an olive green, didn't they?
No, the SS, like the Nazis.
The SS were black and white.
Oh, okay.
The Nazis, not the Allies. The Nazis wore grey and black.
Oh, yeah, that was right.
Oh, that's right. It was grey.
It was grey, not white and black.
You're right. I was thinking of black.
No,
and it
but
goes
the
forth.
SS weren't sold. The SS were the Secret Service, so they wore the black with the white emblems on it. So that's what I'm saying with the white S's. So that's why they have more of an SS thing going on, because they got the black and white, and they're wearing grey, which is just, you know, military-esque anyway.
You're absolutely right. I was getting it completely wrong.
Look at this. He gets tasered, and I just love this. I said this to my house. Look, his mouth is going. But I said this. He gets up from being tased in like a minute, and my housemate just goes, "Well, he's a black belt."
Yeah, and
like, did you know if you're a black belt, you can get tasered with a military-grade taser and just get up later?
It's just take on the pain,
yeah,
get up.
but it should be pointed out that Chad gets up faster.
Oh, yeah.
Because he gets tased later, like after him, and he gets up at the same time.
Yeah, look. No. He doesn't get up, I don't think. I think the other guy is just moving and it's making him move. I think that's it. What? So, like, when the one on the bottom, the Nazi, the boss, he starts waking up, I think he's just moving the other guy's body. That's what I got.
Oh, I thought he got up.
No, maybe.
Like, obviously he nudged him, but they got up together, right? That's
I
what
don't know.
thought
But here's what I love. She throws the baby down first.
And he's the last one to...
And he's the last one to come down. Like, I don't understand what happened. Like,
How does that work?
Well, the
see,
trivia
look.
brought it up. Yeah.
See, look. Now he's getting up. See, he's moving the other guy. He's like, okay.
Yeah, and then
he gets up. What a pussy move, editing. This movie is another movie like, I can't remember, but we had movies that just defy continuity. This movie is just continuity breaking all the time. Like, you just go from one shot and, like, say her hat is on that way. The next shot, it will be, like, different. Like, you know, it's one of those movies where it's like, continuity is an option, not a mandatory thing.
I suppose an option, yeah.
To be fair, I like when I go on IMDb, I like to go to the goof section, and I don't think there's ever been a movie that didn't have a continuity section.
Yeah, obviously, but
I think a more reasonable comparison here would be to compare it to in Surf Ninjas, the scene in the palace, Imperial Palace, where the ninjas, when they got knocked down, they would roll out of the scene or get up and move away as the shot was changing so that more ninjas could fit in.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the point. No, this is not the first time that these characters have stopped during an important moment to
And bailed,
bicker over love and then bail on her, leaving her not only heartbroken, but friendless and alone and scared. This is the moment in which I actually have to say, they're the antagonists. All along. You know how in some movies you don't realize who the antagonist is until, like, the end or till, like, a final act reveal? At first you thought, this movie, the bank guy was an antagonist, but he's not in it a lot. So he's not really the antagonist. He's just antagonistic. And then you thought, oh, maybe the guards are antagonists. But then they're not in it a lot. And so they're not. The real antagonists are these two main character guys. Because they are such meninists, it hurts.
Meninists.
How great would it have been if, like, when that happened, Austin just like, that's it. I didn't think I would use this, but fuck, and he presses a button, he, like, changes the system, takes over the whole building, and suddenly it's become like Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
I'm in charge now.
Wouldn't it be great if he just ripped off his face mask? I always say this in these episodes. He rips off his face mask.
I'm done trying to seduce you. Here's the real me.
And he's like a fat, middle-aged guy with a neck beard. And he's like, I've had enough.
And therefore, because Kristen Stewart's young, a pedophile.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Austin, Jesus.
We've already said that these characters would be rapists. So I think pedophilia is not that far away from what I'm accusing them of. What I'm saying is these two are the worst people that you could surround yourself with. And no wonder Kristen Stewart, the actress, has such trust issues that we can see from where we are. Like, she has a lot of issues going on. I think this movie is a part of it, in which she had to play a character, and I imagine she's a method actress, where she felt the real feelings of being betrayed, and I think, it's haunted her ever since. This movie really affected not only me and you guys the listeners, but the actors involved. I'm just saying, I think this movie changed her.
Ryan and I, we can empathize because we have been betrayed on this show before.
You've been wait. You've been betrayed.
Betrayed.
How have you been betrayed?
Yeah, you have to listen to all our episodes and find out.
Well, it was specifically
Empire
about
Records.
Empire Records. We were sold for 30 silver pieces, apparently.
Yeah, we had a guest, not saying it was Anthony LaPaglia, but they didn't come. They didn't come on the show. Last minute dropout.
Yeah. Look, listen to the Empire Records episode or listen to the Zathura episode where we explain it.
So, here's something I got really confused by. The helicopter goes away.
Oh, yeah, I
and
remember
even I like it, this is what you remember. Even the police are like, where's he going? And then the kids gives the impression that they did something.
It's like, I got a few tricks up my sleeve. It's like, did you hack the
then-
helicopter?
Just a couple minutes later,
Here it is. They will pop up. It's like, its plan was to sit in the middle of an active highway.
What's that gonna do? If they're just gonna... Oh no, he went under us. Oh dear.
Oh, no.
No, they fly up.
They fly up because they can't hit them. They're kids. You know what I mean? Like, if it was a full-grown adult driving this car, they may, do the police tricks of, slamming into them. But in this movie, the police are tied down because... What are they going to do? Smack into these kids and kill them? They're in a go-kart with only helmets. Oh, convenient plot truck.
Yeah.
There's a thing in film. Now, Rhys, you studied film, didn't you?
I did so.
You know of plot trucks, where trucks just randomly back out for no reason.
Randomly show up and then the character...
I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, but in Batman v Superman, there are at least 4 plot trucks in one scene. I'm not joking.
Yeah, especially when Batman's fighting baddies, of course.
I'm not joking. It is like Batman's driving after these people and a truck and another truck and another truck, and it's insane amount of trucks.
How many? What?
So I'm not saying this movie could be the Breaking Bad of kids, but hold out with me. She has someone who's dying. Walter White is dying. They turn to a life of crime to raise the funds for their family.
Way earlier in this episode, you did bring up the whole Denmark systems.
Yes, exactly. The American medical system is broken fundamentally to the point in which she, Walter White, has to turn to a life of crime where she enlists the help of a young blonde-haired man. Aaron Paul is Jesse Pinkman and Gus in this movie. Gus. And then eventually they meet up with a genius megamind, Gus Fring, or Austin in this one. And they turn to a life of crime. And of course I know what you're saying. How can you make these comparisons between the two? I'm not an idiot, of course. I can just see the brilliance of Breaking Bad being able to watch a film like this that have Operation Jack and go, yeah, catch that kid, more like catch that Walter White, I'm just saying, is this a weird, this is a remake of a Danish movie. Is Breaking Bad a remake of a remake?
And Kristen Stewart, she was in Zathura, and what was one of the main characters' name in that?
Walter. Plot thickens.
My brain hurts now, actually.
So is she... I love this guy too, actually. The old cop. Yeah, he just seems mystified the whole entire time.
He looks a little bit like James Coburn.
Oh, yeah. He reminded me a lot of Sam Shepard. No, everyone reminds me of Sam Shepard. Dax Shepard's older brother. No, I love that he seems mystified at his own job. He just seems... You know what I mean? He's like, I don't understand why I'm a policeman. Look at him. Look at him throughout this scene. He's a policeman. He's so weirded out by confrontation.
He's like, what do I do here? Oh,
Look at him.
I forgot everything.
He's like... And nobody else realizes that he's quoting Taxi Driver either. And I love that the British guy just doesn't react to it. Like, he's just like, huh. Like, he's scared. But then afterwards, he's just like, Well, that
He
happened.
looks like he just got spat on. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then no, that happens, and then he just adjusts his bow tie and kind of walks off. But this is when the plot twists. You didn't realize who the real hero was. It was this French guy, because he's the only person who's actually redeemable on a good level. Like before, I've complained there's no redeemable characters other than this British evil guy, and he's only redeemable because he is so evil, and he recognizes that. But this guy, he's the real hero.
Oh yeah, he gives them a check for like 50,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no. He doesn't give them a check for 50,000. Oh, does he? Yeah.
Yeah.
I know the guy,
De Niro guy.
De Niro guy gives them that because now he's the head of the bank because British guy gets fired.
Well, he replaces the British guy. But
Yeah.
that guy's still his superior.
Yeah, the French guy's his superior, but I don't think he needs to make get permission from his head superior to give a loan. I think that's what I got from it. I thought it was like he personally allowed it, but we'll see.
Well,
at
the
end.
50,000 technically was justified as payment for
The expenses
for the justification of how they're not in trouble, basically.
Yeah. Oh my god, I was actually really surprised. I was on the edge of my seat during this because I actually went, "Yeah, that's right. This movie's been so quick paced that you didn't even realize that. What is their plan after they get the money?"
They put him on a plane. Oh, I know. I actually didn't think about that.
You don't think about it. Like they did book the tickets to Denmark.
Yeah, like at this point, I'm like, they have the money. What, they're just gonna
How are
hand
they
in
going to
the
explain
money?
it to the
Yeah.
dad and to the mum? Like, oh, I got 250 grand. Where?
And right now
you
they're-
robbed the bank.
And right now they're dragging, the bed somewhere. But like, clearly, people are gonna be in the way very
Yeah.
soon.
I think this movie has something that a lot of kids' movies lack. And I think I was commenting on this before, but I feel like there's not enough live-action kids' movies where you actually have kid actors. I think it's more voice work now and animated. And look, I may be wrong, but this movie really encapsulates kids in the way that they didn't think long term. They thought short term.
Yeah.
They didn't think of consequences. They didn't think, and that's not a fault of kids. That's just life.
And this scene right here, these shots of the kids like looking like not saying anything, wondering like, what now? I feel like that really like shows what you were just saying there. Like, we didn't think ahead. Like, what now?
Yeah, I think this movie really encapsulates the perspective of kids, and not only in the ways of us watching it, but we envelop ourselves in their perspective. They're our main characters. They're the narrators. They're the storytellers. We're following them with the same blinders on as they have, and then when the real world happens, they get taken away, and you realize that you've been on this mad rush ecstasy ride, and you didn't think like they didn't think about what will be the end game. What will be the consequence?
That's a bit realistic.
Yeah,
in a way.
it's in this hospital scene where it's like, we have the money. There you are. We have to do something
This
now.
is when the rug gets pulled out from beneath you. And I commented on before that this has been cartoony and non-realistic, and when you blend realism into a thing like this, it can ruin it, and vice versa, realism with cartoonism. But this is seamlessly done, and it keeps a little bit of levity. Like, this scene could be like a full-on scene, but it does take its little, like, heartfelt moment, and then it's like, let's go back to fun. Let's have this detective have no idea how to do anything. Like, he just got bumped into someone, and he's like, why did you do that to me? In fact, I'm getting a feeling that this guy's my favorite character.
Yeah, no, the more you're describing, I'm like, like, how did I miss this guy?
There's this guy.
Look at him in the background. Look at him. He's just like, now where do I go?
Scratching
Where am I
himself.
going? The guy in the wheelchair? Is that the dad? I don't know what's happening. But then some of these are real reporters, I do believe, as well. Like, I'm pretty sure that this guy is a real reporter. Or at least I see him play reporters in a lot.
They do get a lot of real reporters in these
just
films.
brought some-
Have you heard of, there's this black actor who is a real news reporter, and all he does in movies is play news reporters. Like, he's in everything as the news, big movies, little movies, TV shows. He's this black kind of very short hair, bald guy, tubby, and he's just a news reporter, and all he does is play news reporters, and he is a news reporter, but he doesn't play himself. I really want to get into that niche market of character acting. Like, Bartek, can you please only play guy who lifts things with one arm, or I only play guy who blocks his ears gently, going, ah! And Rhys, you can be the cameraman.
A person who gets really annoyed easily, but is too polite to like make a big deal out of it.
That's Rhys as a character, or him now?
Then again, if I'm the cameraman, if it's a horror movie, then I'm the first to go. Obviously,
It's a horror movie.
But you're not black,
right
Rhys. You're
there
fine.
on your TV.
yeah, but
He's the blackest out of us.
I'm the cameraman. I eat the Doritos.
He's gone.
I'm gone.
He's a stoner
Look
cameraman.
at all these charitable people.
Oh.
What I love is
They could have just waited for this.
They don't start clapping until they enter the frame of the shot.
Yes. That's great.
Like
they could
look at
start-
the people at the back. They're clapping. Why did they clap as soon as they saw them? They walked all the way down the road.
Maybe they didn't recognize them, and these people were like,
These people were like,
maybe
"Oh,
there
it's
was
them."
maybe there was one person like around this front area who noticed who they were, and like, there they are, like started clapping, and everyone's like, oh, that must be them.
Wouldn't it be great if it was the guy who blocked his ears? No. Wouldn't it be great if they all started clapping and you just see that guy in the middle blocking his ears like, oh, it's loud. Oh,
And he like he transitions,
oh.
but he like tries to transition from like
Going
covering his ears to
clapping.
clapping.
He's like, oh,
My own clapping is too loud
and each
for
time,
me.
he claps and he hurts his own ears. He's like, oh, and it's just like going
Is
back
that your
and
Mickey
forth.
Mouse impression?
No, it's my Paul Giamatti. I don't know. I love the fact that they still don't have enough money. Like, I love that. And then plot twist, banks do have hearts? Like, I wrote that in my notes. I'm like, oh, I guess the moral of this story is banks don't have hearts. And then it's like, well, wait, they do have hearts? Never been a bank I've encountered. Jeez Louise.
I'm a little bummed that he never quoted The Untouchables.
I'm a little bummed that he didn't walk in with a baseball bat either and just start being like,
Enthusiasm.
Or like,
I fucking love the Untouchables.
counselor.
I know that we're not talking about this movie, it's so close to the end, but can I just say something about the Untouchables? I love that Al Capone's right-hand man only wore white. Like, he wears nothing but white suits and ties.
Well,
I just love that.
Ryan, Rhys and I, for year 12 media, we studied
it.
that movie and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
And
So
did you love the fact that Al Capone's right-hand man...
well,
who
we
did
had to
not-
write about it.
Who did not die in real life. He became in charge of the operation after Al Capone.
We know.
Only wore white, which he also did
But-
in real life.
We actually love the fact of where the newspaper came from when Kevin Costner...
Jesus, let's not get into that.
Oh my god. Okay, enough about Kevin Costner's brilliant work. Back to Kristen Stewart's brilliant work in the scene in which they now have enough money, so now they're just going to throw it everywhere and it could get lost underneath the floorboards.
They were making it rain.
Oh, it's 3 months later. Wouldn't it be great if it cut like 3 months later and the dad comes in and he has a robot legs and it's like very experimental.
I'm the $65,000
Well, and
man.
if what you said earlier, the dog started talking, it was like dog years, so dog months.
You know it's 3 months later because she's got bigger boobs. I know she's a kid, but she's developed since we've last seen her. Am I insane?
It's okay, she was only 14. When
Maybe
this movie was
the filming process did take a while to do. Maybe
No, like they actually... No, this is method. They did it all in 2 days and then waited 3 months. Wait, Phil, you know, there's acting, there's method acting,
Of course,
you know.
of course.
Is there method filmmaking where you try and do it in, like, you know how Birdman, they did it, try and do it in one take, or looks like one take, and
Yeah.
same with Rope and all that. But is there method filmmaking for, like, time things? Like, I guess...
Boyhood.
And Revenant, I guess, kind of with light and all that, and like...
Boyhood took a decade to make.
Yeah, yeah.
And they planned it like that because they wanted you to feel
him
like
to grow and
yeah.
you grow with these characters. Oh, that's cool. So this movie's a method movie. Like they did it all in 2 days, 3 days, and then look at that guy. That was the braces guy. And then he's like, oh, but I loved. And he's clearly not in his hat either. So where did it go? Did he leave it at home?
And we never see him again. So he went on a journey to
So,
find it, and that's his own movie.
That is the movie practically. It's
No, there's still
basically-
one scene left.
I know, but it's basically.
yeah, it's sort of doesn't give you a good send off.
Look, Nathan, I know you're a bit upset that we didn't talk about everything, and I know you guys are upset, but hey, you know what I can say? Watch this movie, because this scene that we're watching right now, if you're listening to this without watching it, I feel sorry for you, but you should put it on right now because she is sniffing them for no apparent reason,
Yep.
and then she just kind of walks off.
Well, no, she...
She goes behind them and goes, like, look the other way, and then she slowly backs away. Like, why is she doing it backwards? Why can't she slowly turn around and just
They're
kind
both
of
wearing the love lockets.
And I love the fact that the one's wearing a t-shirt that says love, and the other one's wearing, like, a lightning bolt. You see where their priorities are at.
Love in two different interpretations.
I was kind of hoping she was going to tackle them to the ground.
I thought she was
laugh and yell, "None of you!"
I thought she was gonna just yell money, and
then the vault opens,
and then she picks money, and there's like a giant $100 bill just walks on over and goes, "Hey baby," and they just walk off and
take me to church.
I thought she was gonna drop like like pull their pants down, like just double them. Like, I thought it was gonna be something because they're kids, right? But they still went with the kids like ending. So that was the end of the film, guys. I'd like now to hear your review of it and a rating out of your choice. Bartek, how about you go first for this one?
Yeah, sure, because I did really talk about most of my thoughts during the episode, especially when I was talking about how she's a strong female character. To use the cliche again.
Yeah.
Well,
if you want to, you can still review it, but also just bring up some highlights.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You asked me earlier, if I had a favorite character, and like I said, it's really conflicting when there are just so many amazing characters to love. Like, you got even if you're not going for the more comedic ones, because this movie is a comedy, obviously.
Yes. If
you're not going for the more comedic ones, you've got Kristen Stewart, all of the shit she goes through, what she tries to do, and the whole revelations of, childhood wonder of, yes, let's actually do this really crazy thing. Because, a lot of us are really grounded in reality. We want to do crazy things, but we just don't act on them. And then you see this movie where they're like, let's rob a bank to get the money. It's like, oh yeah, that works, but we can't do it. But then they do it, and it's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. I'm telling you.
Wow, good De Niro impersonation.
And then yeah, and on the other note, we have the comedic characters. We've got the Nazi guy. We've got the big brother bully character who goes from being a really dickish bully who really reminded me of Johnny from The Karate Kid to
butt munch.
And then into I have a job, so I've got to be a bit more professional, and I'm also a subordinate to this guy.
Yeah.
So I can't really be a bully character because I'm being bullied and kicking in the nuts and all that.
What was that scene in which she was talking to him? She's like, he respects you. You're like, what was it?
Yao Ming and Shaq.
And he's like, oh, which one? Oh, definitely Yao Ming. Oh, more Shaq though.
that was a good dumb moment to bring it back to the big fat liar bully character. So yeah, you've got, and I think I might have even mentioned this when I offhandedly bring up Screwballs sometimes on this show.
Screwballs. Check it out.
It does have those live action cartoon elements.
It does. So, do you have a rating you want to give this?
Yeah, sure, I can give it a rating.
Yeah.
I give this movie I'm a genius! Out of love.
Aww.
Well, I'm going to go next with my review, Rhys, and let you go to last. I know you're pounding on the table going, let me go. Okay, so Catch That Kid. Like I said, a lot of things happen in this movie. I haven't seen a movie so full on in quite a while. I mean, obviously each movie that we do on this show is very full on, but I look at the movies that I do on this show and movies that I just watch in real life as two separate universes, because I mean, look, we all watch movies in real life that aren't masterpieces. They're just movies, and I include that in my life too. But when you just have to watch masterpieces, they come from a different, weird, surreal world, and especially if they're unappreciated, and especially if they're from what I like to call the Muniz era, because it's like a look at a weird parallel universe nostalgia, where it's basically like you tear open the universe and you look into another universe's films that were made in 1910. And these are those movies, but these happened for us in 2004.
Yeah, we should probably it's probably been made very obvious if you've listened to this show for a while, but even from like our first episode, Big Fat Liar, we've been slowly like analyzing the early 2000s identity.
It's just, I think that's when we were kids. I think that's why we got there. These are movies that we have vague memories of us individually on this panel. So this movie, Catch That Kid, not one I had seen or heard or even knew existed before, but I am glad that it does. And you know who I have to thank for that? Nathan. I have to thank you so
It actually
much.
can't be denied.
Nathan, I am so glad that you have opened our eyes to this movie. Because honestly, this is the reasoning why I want you guys, the listeners, to recommend movies to us. Because we can't know them all. We don't know them all. And this movie is a real eye-opener for me individually on this panel. Of how many movies have slipped by me. I know a lot of movies. I know a lot of actors. I know a lot of this and that. But even I individually miss things out. And I am surprised myself that I missed this movie out. This movie is wonderful. It is beautiful. Really well shot, really well acted. I miss this era, and I feel like children actors need to step up their game now. Look at the works of old and step up your game. I give this movie the only rating that one can give it, which is money.
Just yell money and you'll get what you deserve.
Money.
Now, Rhys, you can.
Oh, but I would like to hear Ryan's rating out of this movie.
No, that was my rating.
Oh,
the
money,
only rating I can give it is...
Your rating doesn't have to be out of
money.
anything. It could be a metaphorical concept if you
I
want.
gave Sorority Boys a purple heart.
There was one movie that you just clapped. Scooby-Doo 2 it was, I think.
I think it's an all-round applause. So
That's fair enough.
you give your review and rating, and if you have any highlights of the movie or your experience.
All right. Let me be very frank.
It's Frank, all right, not Rhys anymore.
This film is brilliant. I'm serious. This movie is brilliant. It's entertaining. Overall, it's entertaining. I remember watching this film in the cinema with... Well, okay, I was concentrating on popcorn more often, but it was there. This movie was there from minute 1 to minute...
95.
95, yep.
Not even that, 91.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
91.
91.3.
But this movie has everything going for it. I mean, it is perfect for its time. 2003, kids were loving these kinds of movies.
Oh, God.
Of course. Kristen Stewart as the... Well,
Kristen.
Okay, Kristen Stewart as the main actor. Of course, she wasn't known back then. This was probably one of her first.
Yeah.
Or, okay, maybe...
She's Panic Room already, I think.
Yeah. But this is the movie going for it. Even though it doesn't have Frankie Muniz in it. It has everything going for it. I mean, you've got comic relief all the way through this movie. I mean, you've got Farrell, the security guy, the dog guy, right?
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah.
Which I have said in this episode that he's my favorite character. I don't know. He just gets me. I do like the try-hard characters in movies very much.
That's fair enough.
You'll see it in my scripts that I write. I just try hard.
That is actually true.
So,
They really try hard.
so what you're saying is this film has inspired you as a creator?
Of course.
Wow, yeah.
Entertainer, and that's what movies are about. The kids must be entertained for the parents. And then, of course, later, the kids must demand merchandise.
Catch That Kid on DVD.
Yes!
Damn it,
Catch-
Rhys's parents.
Catch that kid.
Nathan had a copy.
Oh, that's why you need to be friends with him.
So, my rating for this movie, this brilliant movie, is a Racing Stripes out of a Agent Cody Banks 2.
You know, they're
Wow.
both those movies are on the list for this show, especially Racing Stripes.
I have that on VHS, so I don't know if I can bring that.
No, we'll get it on
Oh,
proper.
it would be great. VHS.
Now, you heard our thoughts. This is my favourite part of the show, where I get to read for you, the panel, and you, the listener, reviews from IMDb that had other thoughts, other things to say. Some on the same spectrum as us, some that are on a different spectrum from us, and some are from the parallel universe that I spoke about before.
Yeah.
Often on this show we ask, how did this, who made this? Why did this get made? Who wrote this? I ask that about these reviews sometimes myself.
I didn't look through the IMDb reviews, but the one that like they showed at the bottom of like the main page, I saw bits of it. I'm like, that's weird.
Yes. Okay, this is the first one. It's 8 out of 10, called Catch That Kid, 8 out of 10. Good movie for the family to enjoy. Now, this was written in 2004. I bring that up because it's sometimes important, because this was written when this movie came out. So the perspective is fresher for then. In comparison to if someone reviewed it now, they had years to experience its cultural impact. Like Rhys.
Like me.
Okay, Catch That Kid, 2004. When this film was released, I knew it would get criticism, either by the premise of stealing money or by its similarities between Spy Kids and Agent Cody Banks. I do not agree that it is like Spy Kids. Catch That Kid is a lot better. The movie is about Maddie Phillips, Kristen Stewart, in brackets, Kristen Stewart, The Panic Room, Cold Creek Manor, who loves to climb. Like, that's the end of the sentence. It's about Maddie Phillips, who loves to climb. After an accident on Mount Everest, her dad becomes paralyzed, and he can get an operation in Denmark for $250,000, but insurance doesn't pay for it. So Maddie recruits her two best friends, Austin and Gus, to help her rob a high-security bank, whose security system her mother created. The safe is suspended 100 feet high, and Maddie must overcome her fear of climbing too high so that she can save her father's life. This movie had some really neat climbing sequences. Good action, but it lacked a few laughs. Bart.
I thought you were about to say my name.
Bartek. No, I'm about to apologize for murdering this guy's last name. Bart Frudenlich, if that's how it is, I'm going to say Bart Frudenlich, manages the security and heist scenes well, and the film has some pretty odd security devices for the bank. Kristen Stewart is great. She gives a good performance, and her two best friends are also good. Their parents are a bit one-dimensional, but it doesn't really matter to the kids, which is the audience most likely to be attracted to this movie. When seeing this with your kids, just let them know robbing a bank isn't a good thing, and that it's just a movie. Don't let them don't let them take it too seriously, but hey, they're kids. 8 out of 10.
And never ever eat.
Okay, this one's a longer review, so I'm gonna try and get through it. 2005, 9 stars.
Oh gee, that's a war text.
Wow.
Teen heist cum fantasy/adventure. Where's the fantasy?
I think you mean sci-fi.
No.
For the holograms.
A US remake of the Danish film. I'm not even going to try and pronounce its name. Bartek, can you read Danish?
Klatretåsen.
That.
Klatretåsen.
Every time I say, I don't know, just remember Bartek said it, okay? In 2002, Catch That Kid is a teen heist film in a nutshell. When Maddie's dad needs an expensive operation, she plans a heist to get the money to pay for it, enlisting the help of her two equally innovative friends, Austin and Gus. Catch That Kid is a lot of fun, but viewers who are looking for realistic fare may be disappointed. As a teen heist film, Catch That Kid is heavy on the fantasy aspects, which are frequently more cartoonish than realistic. Whether you'll like it will largely depend whether you don't mind or even prefer, as I do, fantasy instead of reality films. And unlike traditional heist films, Catch That Kid has an overarching, warm and fuzzy message with a predictable climax. Climax. Why am I saying climax? Climax. Even though it is heavy on fantasy elements, the 3 stars Stuart Bleu and I can't pronounce his name either. Thieriot. I'm going to call him Thieriot. Thiero. Perot. Perot. I'm going to call him Perot for now. Perot are very believable in context in their roles. The film is interesting that in spite of being a heist film, it is also constructed like more traditional fantasy/adventure. In this interpretation, the bank is as a castle, presided over by an evil ruler.
Yeah,
This is us talking now. I swear, this is like how we would go. Our heroes must enter the castle stealthily, foiling the court jesters / castle guards, evading the magical beasts to scale the inner sanctum, retrieve the sacred token, escape on horseback, and save the true king. That's
That's a good metaphor, actually.
that the plot can work in both the modern heist setting and the traditional fantasy / adventure setting gives in more depth and more unconscious resonance with audience to less realistic tales. Comparisons can easily be made to other recent films such as the Spy Kids series, the Cody Banks series, or even animated fares such as Kim Possible, but each has its particular niche. And Catch That Kid was just as entertaining to me, a middle-aged male, as any heist film for grown-ups. Finally, in different tone, let me repeat the rant I give in my review of The Grudge. It is ridiculous that US distributors and studios feel that we need remakes of foreign films to make them appropriate for consumption. The original versions of these films should just be playing in the US theaters in wide release. There is no need to present an almost identical film substituting white American actors for non-white or foreign actors. Yes, Catch That Kid is a fine film, but ultimately I'd rather see something original using this talent and be treated to the latest foreign films, not just European, but Asian, African, etc. at my multiplex. In the hope that someone with some pull at the studios reads this.
Possibly.
It is also more cost effective to do this, as 1, you can completely avoid production costs and simply make domestic distribution deals from which you receive profit. And 2, you can make money off fans like myself who otherwise pick up the foreign film DVDs and foreign manufactured or even bootleg versions. That's it. I love that because, as I was saying, this is a review from another dimension. I did not pick up on any fantasy elements, but I'm glad he did. This middle-aged man who loves kids' films. who I wonder if we read all of his reviews, he would compare them to fantasy. That's one of my real things.
Sorority boys the window thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-star review. So an average review, 2009. So this came out a while after. Weaned on heist movies.
I'm sorry?
Weaned.
What's weaned?
When you're weaned off something, like,
okay.
When you're weaned off the teat.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I'm noting that Catch That Kid was based on a popular Danish film, I can't pronounce it, that only came out a few years ago. A few years ago. This was in 2009. And that movie...
I was about to ask what year was it? 2009.
A few years ago, there had to be another motivation for what these 3 enterprising juveniles did, because Denmark, unlike the USA, has socialized medicine, and the problem that the kids need the money for wouldn't exist there. What that problem is that Kristen Stewart's dad, John Carroll Lynch, has aggravated an old spinal injury that has left him bedridden and paralyzed. The only hope for treatment is an experimental procedure that our insurance won't pay and will cost $250,000 for the operation. So Kristen enlists her 2 friends, Max Perot. Yeah, I'm calling him Perot. I don't care. Max Perot and Corbin Bleu. Wow.
What's his name?
Corbin Bleu.
Bleu?
Corbin Bleu.
Hello? Is it Bleu?
No, Corbin Bleu to do a bank robbery. Getting inside. Blair. I want to suck your Corbin Bleu.
I was about to say, it sounds like Dracula. Well, like cartoon Dracula.
Getting inside information is easy because Christian's mum, Jennifer Beals, runs a security company, and on a take your daughter to work day, she accompanies mum and pays very close attention to the procedures installed in the bank that Beals is contracted to work for. Whoops. I accidentally shifted too far. There we are. Sorry. That although that is contracted work for, although they don't say so, it's pretty obvious that these kids were weaned on heist films like To Catch a Thief and The Asphalt Jungle. Cary Grant never pulled off a neater robbery than this trio. This film really needed Cary Grant. Catch That Kid is a nice enough film that might send a wrong message out there to younger viewers. Truth be told, these kids are almost caught, but get some help from an unexpected source. They never should have gotten as far as they did. That's the end of that review. And this one, I feel like it's just so cute. It's all lower caps.
Oh.
It's 10 stars. Like, the title is all lower caps. But it's got an exclamation mark. Wow.
Really? It just says, oh, it does say
10
wow.
Wow, 10 stars.
Wow. But lowercase.
I want to hear this one so
it's
bad.
Shouting. It's like, it's really happy. But it's mid-conversation. So it's like, wow.
High-pitched, full of awe.
Wow. And this is from 2005. This review may contain spoilers, guys. So, just watch out. Everyone is saying that Catch That Kid was a bad movie. I don't think it was, considering it's a kid's movie. It's not that bad. I loved it. Plus, it had the sexy Max Perot in it. He's like fucking 12.
I think he was like 15, but yeah.
Yeah, it had the sexy Max Perot in it, which made it way more interesting. Yeah, that was like 2 or 3 Ys, in case you're wondering.
Oh, Max Perot was Gus, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Which made it way more interesting. This movie is really showing how far family members go for each other. Even though it went to robbing a bank, the movie still showed how important family and friends are to have. Please do not diss Catch That Kid. You... They spelled it Y-O-O-H. You need to understand that it's a kids movie, not an adult's. They are things that may teach kids bad habits, but still, it's a movie. But movie is spelled in all caps except for the I. It's a movie. I love this movie because of the action in it. Gosh. Like that's a sentence. It goes, I love this movie because of the action in it. And then that's a full stop. Gosh. Full stop. Get over it. Thanks for reading my opinion. Sammy and the Hearts. That's what they wrote.
Good his band name?
That's the name, Sammy and the Hearts. And then we got this one. It's a lesser star reviewed. Ooh. 3 stars. We've got to go negative and positives. But this person seems to have an upbeat attitude. In points. Funny and exciting, but negative moral themes.
Ooh, that's a burn.
This film, at the start, was interesting enough. It's very funny, to say the least. The humor was in the same mold as Home Alone. It was filled with excitement, thrilling chases, and tense moments. The film's premise about the kids robbing the bank to save Maddie's dad was, to say the least, disappointing. It had upsides, but the filmmakers seemed to forget the fact that this movie is all about something illegal and wrong, robbing a bank, and to add to the fact that Maddie lies to her friends to convince them to help. Throughout the entire film, I was waiting for a redeeming quality, for them to get punished somehow, such as always happened in Shakespeare plays. In his plays such as Macbeth kills the king and ends up dying later on as a consequence for murder. There were several times in the film where it made you think they would get caught, but they got away with it. And at the end, they got away with it. And at the end, they just got a slap on the hand. Overall, the film was funny and exciting, but the moral themes weren't right. It's movies like this that make you appreciate Shakespeare so much more.
What?
Another dimension.
Clearly they didn't see the ending. It was all testing the security.
Didn't they see the ending in which they fell in love in 2 days and then killed themselves? Jeez, it's just like Shakespeare. Go on.
You'd live a depressing life through Shakespeare.
Okay, now this is the last one. 8-star review.
Ooh, this is good.
Is it Lynam?
What?
Lynam.
Lynam.
What are you talking about?
Lynam's song makes the movie. 2004. My favorite part of the movie was about 40 minutes into it when the kids are walking into the party. The doors bust open and they are all dressed up. Then you hear a song called The Party Starts Now by Lynam. That's awesome. All in all, it was a good movie, geared more towards teenagers / early teens audience. Of course, I think everyone knew how it would end, but still a good movie. I've been looking forward for the soundtrack. Now, I've been looking for the soundtrack, but haven't been able to find it. So if anyone knows, let me know. If you haven't,
Just knows.
if you haven't seen this movie, then by all means, check it out. That's the end.
That person should get
So-
a paid job as a reviewer.
So if you're out there, give that person a buzz, okay?
Look, if you know, let him know.
Yeah, we love it.
Not them know. I'm sorry.
Please, Bartek's friend,
Nathan.
Nathan. Please, if you have this, I know you have the soundtrack, Nathan. Give it to Bartek. Please, 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 Nathan. I love you. Hashtag catch that kid. Can somebody please make a hashtag called catch that kid? And we're trying to find Nathan. What was his last name again?
Johnston.
Nathan Johnston.
Catch that Johnson.
Catch that Johnston. Catch that kid. Please, if we can find him and get him in communication with us, that would make our lives better. Other than that, do we have any final thoughts? It's hard.
This was
This was pretty.
This was good.
Yeah.
This is intense.
I feel like I will admit I feel like we didn't talk about a lot.
But we talked about so much.
I mean, we talked about a lot, but I think we missed a lot.
Honestly, Bartek, I think we need 5-hour-long episodes to break down. You know, there's this podcast, or there was, where they do an hour-long podcast of each, I think it's like each 10 seconds of Star Wars.
Oh.
So they have an episode of the first 10 seconds, and they talk about it, they analyze it for like an hour.
So does that mean that it takes many episodes to get through?
Yeah, I think they're not even finished with Star Wars: A New Hope.
Oh no.
Like, is the crawl still happening?
Yeah, probably.
Wow.
I don't know, but it's
How do
interesting.
Oh, geez.
Or they at least do.
I guess it is 10 seconds.
Yeah, or something like that. But yeah, that's a recommendation. Check that out. I don't know what it's called, but you guys, wonderful to have you guys on as guests. Rhys, we haven't seen you since Meet Dave.
Yes.
Which was a long time ago, but I'm glad you came up for Catch That Kid. Nathan, you're our guest in spirit. We miss you. Please come on the show. And Bartek, you are, as always, of course, a wonderful host with myself. You know how to speak Polish, and I don't. So, you know, that's our stick. I will learn it one day, out of spite. But until next time, guys, you guys have been fantastic, wonderful, amazing listening people, and you can be even better, fantastic, wonderful people if you do want to get in contact with us. Because, like I said earlier in my review, we don't know every movie, and I didn't know Catch That Kid, and it could have easily slipped under there. So we've got the Facebook page, Spit and Polish Presents. You can drop us a line there, but you know, if you also, we've got iTunes and Podbean if you want to follow us there too. Don't feel afraid to give us a friendly review or negative. I don't care. If you want to give us a negative review, I'll fight you. Give me a name, address, I'll meet you. And until next time, be kind to each other.
Be absolute.
So long.
Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Good night.
Money.